Welcome everyone, good morning. Good morning. I hope everyone had some coffee and breakfast and snack and good talk. Welcome everyone, thank you so much for coming, even though it was a little bit wet or windy or cold outside, but I'm used to it, I'm Dutch, so I was like, this is normal to us.
This is summer.
Yeah.
It's just another summer day in Amsterdam.
But thank you so much for coming at this amazing space of Impact Hub in Peña de França, top of a hill.
Appreciate them hosting us. So we are going to take you through a whole program, introduce you to Creative Mornings, introduce ourselves as well. But first, we are shaking up the format. We haven't had musical guests in the past, but we have a very special guest.
I've got 2 seats here, 1 seat there, a couple seats
and
here.
my remote.
You're welcome.
Here we go.
2 there.
Very special guest today.
Yes.
This is Mr. Sway Rowe. Thank you. Thanks. So he is a singer-songwriter and multi-instrumentalist and a friend of mine, and his jams have just like a great funky, soulful, jazzy vibe. And he's been on heavy rotation in our household, so we've been dancing and grooving and really enjoying the music. And so it's a privilege for us to hear him perform live for us, just to welcome us into the Impact Hub, Impact Hall, and get our energy going in the morning. So I will hand the stage to Sway, and then we'll be back. Let's enjoy his tunes. All right, thank you, Sway.
Thank you. This first tune is called Life Upon a Lie. Clouds are covering the sky. I'm the one to sacrifice all my life. No one should objectify. Living life upon a lie. I don't really seem to find what you're saying so serious. No one knows the place I'm headed. No one try to fix me either. I'm gonna stop in time. Build a stronghold on a cliff so I can lie with no one to rely. Are you really gonna live upon a lie? Clouds are covering the sky. I'm the one to sacrifice all my life. No one should objectify. Living life upon a lie. I don't really seem to find what you're saying so serious. But we know the place I'm headed. No one try to fix me either. I'm gonna stop in time. Build a stronghold on a cliff so I can lie with no one to rely. Are you really gonna live upon a lie? I'm missing everything around me from 20 years ago. I don't know why I ended this way. I can see what I was so afraid of. I'm gonna stop in time. Build a stronghold on a cliff so I can lie with no one to rely. Are you really gonna live upon a lie? I don't wanna live upon a lie. I don't wanna live upon a lie. I don't wanna live 2021. I'm going to play a couple more songs for you. This one is called Some Good Thing, and it's from my EP, 2023 EP called You May Feel Like. Yeah, it goes like this. Tell me what's the day, I'm probably running late. I'm sure I was into something, and I know you got that something. Now my face looks great, the sun is out today. We're barely turning something, but it might be worth it something, some good thing. I wish I could be there for you as you always were for me. But I felt like running away. I wish you'd understand. Why do we imagine and conceive? You might get it someday. On a steep hill, I'm leaning towards eternity, facing the torments and randomness of throwing ourselves to a distant million year. Don't know how long it will remain. 'Cause you know what, it can make you feel like some good things take time. 'Cause you know what, it can make you feel like some good thing. I managed to attain a way of being sane, but I'm always up to something, and I know you got that something. What happens when you're scarred is that you know you went too far, but now you know how to accept it. So now go outside and break it, just break it, yeah. I always stop and stare when I'm up into photography, but I can just hide them away. I never stop taking care of keeping all those glorious memories. You might get it someday, your way. On a steep hill, I'm leaning towards eternity, facing the torments and randomness, and throwing ourselves into a distant million year. Don't know how long it will remain. Calling all saints to help us with our own way. But when hope sometimes drifts away, we're throwing ourselves into a distant million year. Don't know how long it will remain. 'Cause you know what, it can make you feel like some good things take time. 'Cause you know what, it can make you feel like some good things take time. 'Cause you know what, it can make you feel like some good things take time. You know what, it can make you feel like some good things. was some good thing, you know, when days like this, when it's raining and we can still do good things. That's what this song's all about. If I'm allowed to play one more, I don't know. Is that okay?
Yeah,
okay?
one more.
Woo! Like,
All right, bring it. These are original songs, by the way. I mean, fantastic
yeah,
songwriting. Lyrics, playing, vocals, stupendous.
a minute to tune up. Cool. Gonna play another song called Daylights, which is essentially means the same as the other one, but in other words. I hope you enjoy that.
Thank you, Sway.
Thank you, guys.
Spectacular. Thank you for your attention. Creative. Full house. So we'll tell you a little bit about Creative Mornings. Started in 2008. A woman named Tina Roth Eisenberg, who was a graphic designer living in New York, didn't have an opportunity, she felt, to meet fellow creatives. And so she wanted to create a gathering place, very simple premise. One Friday every month, people would get together, free breakfast, coffee, and an inspirational speaker. And from that point, Creative Mornings has now grown to 70 countries, 244 cities, and 27,000 people like yourselves attend every month. So it's an enormous global organization, all volunteer-led. It actually, these numbers mean it's the world's largest face-to-face creative community. So you're all a part of it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, right?
And speaking of face-to-face, do you guys want to play a little game? Just a quick intro? Okay. So this is what we call compliment games, since there's so many gorgeous faces here. So very simply, just to break the ice with each other, if you could just turn to someone you did not come with and just look at them for a second, or a few seconds. Just take them in and then pay them an authentic compliment. Something real, and then have the other person go. And let's just take a minute to do that, just to meet each other and recognize each other. Giving this icebreaker a shot. Compliment game. Everybody is
enthusiastic, very generous with the compliments. Good.
Can we have your attention again?
Keep it going,
Thank you.
keep it going.
Can we have your everyone's attention here, please?
Awesome.
Let's come back. What a friendly group.
Yeah, it's very nice. Very generous with the
Ladies and
compliments.
gentlemen.
Yes.
Okay, so everyone's a winner at the compliment game.
Good.
Okay?
Hi, good morning.
We're all winners, and how easy it is just to really break the ice
Give a
with
chair.
anyone
Good.
by paying them a genuine compliment. So
Yes.
thank you
And
for
can I ask,
participating.
who is here for the first time? Wow, that many. And how have you heard of us, Creative Mornings? Socials?
Socials. Okay, that's
Socials.
working.
WhatsApp groups.
All right, social media
We need
marketers
to post it,
on
yes.
our team.
No, yeah. Be
Fantastic.
welcome, be welcome. Give us a high five or a hug afterwards if you want. We'll free to do that.
And we have a visitor possibly from Oslo. Is
Claudia Marquez is in the
she in the
house.
house? She is here.
Yay!
Wow, welcome.
Woo! I know,
We
Marquez
know.
is very Portuguese. Yes, Claudia Marquez. If I have the numbers right, you attended 151 Creative Mornings. Very cool. Well, welcome.
We want a
Awesome to have you
report
here.
on each and every visit. Thank you for being here.
Yes.
So we just did a practical exercise, but Creative Mornings also offers virtual ways to
Yes,
connect.
online workshops offered by members of our community. They offer them for free online on Creative Mornings website. So take a look at it, play with the website, it's very cool. There's a ton of information on it to
A lot of
teach you,
different offers. There's
yeah.
also job search.
Yes, if you want to find a job, remote or anything else.
And
it's
every
there.
month has a theme, and this person, DJ Jim Q, puts together a playlist, which is actually super listenable and
Yes, really
really
swinging.
diverse.
Yeah.
So you can check that out. Our theme this month, if you haven't gotten it yet, is Parallel, which we'll be touching on. So this is also the inaugural Creative Mornings for both myself, Truth,
And me.
my lovely partner.
Yeah, on stage, yeah, with a microphone. Yes.
So we're so happy everybody is in attendance, and
Yes, so many of you came. Nice to see. Very cool.
we're creative partners and romantic partners, and your new city hosts.
Thank
We
you
love
for
Creative
having us.
Mornings.
Yes.
We've been attending, not as many as our guest here, but you can see the sleepy eyes of the morning. It's so authentic. This Gabriella, I don't know if she's here, but she was
From
a speaker.
Lisbon Project.
Lisbon Project. These are all locations around Lisbon. I was a
Tech
speaker
House,
at one point.
Grow Inc. What is it? Pool?
Pool house.
Pool house as well.
Poolside.
Poolside.
So
Yeah.
anyway, so we took over the reins of this fantastic community because we loved what it offered, and we thought there was an opportunity to have an expanded vision for what it is. And so one of the things that we want to do is make it more in service of our community members, of all the people in attendance today. So it's not just a fantastic show for you to enjoy one morning a month, but it's really a way for you to connect, to go deeper. We want to do satellite workshops that expand on some of the topics that the speakers come in and speak about. We want to shine a light on the community members themselves, give you an opportunity to actually pitch, to do like a 30 to 60 second pitch, and we'll offer a few of those spots at each session where you can introduce yourself, your new business, whatever you're launching, whatever you need help with, whatever you're looking for, and whatever you're offering. So we want to provide that, and we want to shine a light on the success stories, because there are many. So people meet their business partners, they meet clients, they meet friends, they meet romantic connections. And I mean, we even have an example of that today. Someone right here in the front, Sandra, was in attendance at a Creative Mornings. Do you want to tell us briefly what happened? That you approached the speaker.
Yes.
You
You what?
don't have
Yeah,
to.
you look great. So stand up.
Thank you, babe.
We're putting the spotlight right on you.
If I'm blushing right now, so stop, not just my red top. Hi, so yes, I did attend a workshop in December, which was at Second Home, and met the speaker, who her name is Livia. She has an amazing project called Rebundance.com. If you don't know of it, please go and have a look. But what actually happened is that I didn't realize, but for some unknown reason, we're actually soul sisters. We've been inseparable since that day. We meet at least 2 or 3 times a week and really have become very close friends. So yes, please enjoy today. Hopefully you'll meet some amazing people here and make incredible connections as well. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Sandra. Thank you.
So these great things can happen. We also would be remiss to not thank our previous host, Irina
Yes.
Canova, who brought us all together initially and handed the reins to us. So we feel blessed to be picked by her, and we all give our gratitude to Irina. And of
we
course,
could not do this without our amazing team. Through thick and thin, they helped us all to make this all happen. It's a lot of work, let me tell you that. And we could not do it without all these lovely people. So they're all here. Raise up your hands where you are. Everywhere. Woo!
yes,
Yes. Thank you all.
there are a lot of moving parts to putting on an event like this.
Yes.
And we actually woke up with this in our inbox. So this is actually a message from headquarters for all of us.
Yay! Hello, Creative Mornings Lisbon. This is your Creative Mornings HQ team from Brooklyn. I'm Ekta. I'm the head of community here. I'm Abby. I'm a chapter community manager. And I'm Brianna. I'm also a chapter community manager. And we just wanted to celebrate your new hosts. We're really excited to have them on board. We're really honored to have all of you as part of our community. And yeah, just really, really grateful to have Lisbon as part of this Creative Mornings world. So we hope you enjoyed the event, and we hope that you love your new organizers. Thank you to everyone who's making this happen. All right. See you guys later. Bye.
Yay! That's for the whole team.
How
by the
sweet,
way.
right? So sweet.
Thank you, HQ. A few people have asked me already about how to volunteer or become involved, so please just send us a DM through Instagram or an email.
Yeah,
And
I will follow up very shortly.
And we are open to volunteering on the day, whatever you have to offer in terms of skills or services. Also providing breakfast if you happen to be a gourmet chef and want an outlet.
Yes.
And we have a rabid audience that is eager for what you're offering. But truly, or if you want to sponsor at all the breakfast or the
Coffee beans, coffee
the crew,
machines,
signage, any of the
or-
effort, there are expenses that are involved in putting this on. And so anything is appreciated. So
Yes.
speaking of sponsors, we're going to start with our global sponsor, which we must acknowledge, Adobe.
Yes.
So
Adobe.
we have
Just
a little,
like Creative Mornings, they really believe that community is everything. That is why they're here, not just as a partner, but as a true supporter of our creative family here in Lisbon. With Adobe support, Creative Mornings headquarters is working on bringing you resources and virtual field trips, the field trips we were just talking about, to help you navigate change, embrace new trends, and grow. And we're going to wait 1 second because we need a picture for a wide-angle picture
for
from
HQ.
this slide.
That was the
Go,
bargain.
Violetta.
So
Yes.
everyone,
Another slide.
Adobe,
The red
are we
one?
good?
Yeah.
Okay. So 351 is the largest community of startups in
Awesome.
Portugal. They've been longtime supporters. They help with venues and provide all kinds of ancillary support, moral support in all kinds of ways and connections and sponsorship. Daily Coffee has been the longest sponsor of
Yeah.
Creative Mornings. They help provide the coffee makers and machines and, and beans. Escala 25 helped us out this session.
Well, last
This
minute.
is, if any of you are rock climbers, this is under the April 25th bridge right
It's a very
here.
cool location,
You
by
can
the way.
see.
You should really check it out when the weather is a little bit warmer.
Yeah, this entrepreneur built a rock climbing wall, and apparently they alter
Yes.
their routes every week.
They alter the routes every week, and they're willing to offer us a little discount. So if you send us a message, we're happy to give you a code or anything else you need to get the discount if you want to go climbing. It's very cool.
And most importantly, this fantastic, cozy yet spacious, glamorous venue, which was provided by Impact Hub Lisbon. And Mariana Martins is going to tell you something about the community here and the ecosystem of Impact Hub. So please.
Welcome her on stage.
Yes.
Hello everyone, thank you for being here. My name is Mariana Martins. I was brought in here to Impact Hub to lead the opening of our second location here in Lisbon. So I don't know how many people know, have heard of the name of Impact Hub. We are, just like CreativeMornings, a global organization. We are in over 110 locations all over the world. And here in Lisbon, this is our second one. So a year ago, when we started with one table, 0 members, and a big vision. Fast forward to today, a year later, we have over 100 members. I think some of them are here today. Can you raise your hands?
Yeah.
Yay. Beautiful, inspiring community. We have many tables now. And we have expanded to more floors. We started with 2 floors, and now we basically have this whole building, including the floor where you are right now, which is brand new for us. And we're very excited because that gives us the opportunity to do events like this. They are inspiring, they're creative, they're impactful. And we also have offices that are available, so we're looking for teams to come and join us. And we have the co-working, which, again, yeah, it's like incredible, inspiring professionals come here. And one bonus point is that we're going to have a cafe right there on that space that is empty over there. So lots of exciting things happening. Today, if you choose to stay here and check out the space and work for the day, we're offering a a 50% off on your day pass. It would be really lovely to have you and work with us and check it out, fill it out. Also, if you're curious about the space, I'll be happy to take you on a tour after this is over, so just find me here and I'll show you the other floors. And if you like what you experience, we are running a 25% discount on your membership. So just talk to me and I will make sure to get that set up for you. So that's me, that's Mariana, the manager of the Impact Hub. In parallel, I am also known as Nana Martins. And Nana is a coach, an experienced creator, and actually almost exactly 3 years ago, I gave a talk at CreativeMornings.
Mm-hmm.
And the talk was about fate and intention and how the collaboration of these 2 elements can create magic in our lives. And I think it's no coincidence that 3 years later, my path is crossing with CreativeMornings again. And I like it even more that it's on spring, on the very first day of spring, which means
That's right.
we finally get to start the year now. And that we have new hosts. It just feels very fresh and exciting to have Laureen and Truth, and very excited for you, and very happy to welcome all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yes.
Yeah, and fantastic community here with events like this. I was actually the original Impact Hub in downtown Los Angeles. I was not a member because I lived on the west side, but I would go there just for the events, and I got to know the founders just when they were talking about, building a system for supporting entrepreneurs and around the world. And here we are.
Here we are.
Doing exactly that.
Mm-hmm.
CreativeMornings Manifesto. So Laurina is going to read the mission statement, which is the underpinning of the values of CreativeMornings.
Yeah, the missions and the visions are created. Everyone is creative. A creative life requires bravery and action, honesty and hard work. We are here to support you, celebrate with you, and encourage you to make the things you love. We believe in the power of community. We believe in giving a damn. We believe in face-to-face connections, in learning from each other, in hugs and high fives. We bring together people who are driven by passion and purpose, confident that they will inspire one another and inspire change in neighborhoods and cities around the world. Everyone is welcome.
Everyone is welcome.
That's what we want to
So
carry out.
everyone is creative and everyone is welcome. So bring a friend, as some of you have, because they are also welcome.
Everyone. Mm-hmm.
So parallel, in Mariana, you touched on parallel. You're known as Nana Martins in parallel. I don't know if that was a coincidence or very good planning, but this is our global theme.
The illustration is made by Ali from Kuala Lumpur. Maybe also created with Adobe.
So this is what we call a seesaw, but in the Netherlands you call it
Wipwap.
a wipwap, which I thought was cute. So these
A
two
wipwap.
creatures are on a wipwap, And we're working in parallel with our creative partner. We're working in parallel on projects that we may not come into contact with those people, or sometimes we do. Sometimes we feel like we're riding high. Maybe one of us is on top and the other one is on the bottom. And sometimes that switches. And that's what the whip-wop or the seesaw is all about. The ups and downs, which our next guests, our featured speakers are going to tell us all about. Working in parallel with each other. And without further ado, I'd love to welcome Sergio and Oliver Zaciu, AKA Immigrant Hustle.
All right.
This is the softer microphone, so
All right. I'll talk louder into this one. Hey guys. Hello, hello. Good morning. First off, give it up for Truth and Lau. Where'd you guys go? Truth, Lau? Right there. There they are. All right, you killed it. Thank you so much for the invite. It really means a lot. We're really happy to be here and to, start our day off with you guys.
Yeah, so Truth wanted the theme to be parallels, and so we want to tell you how we work together and how that happens. When we first heard the idea of parallels, it didn't really land with us because a lot of what we do is actually friction-based, and it feels more like it's ping pong than parallels, but of course we do work in parallel, and we do love working with each other, but it's a very complex process. And so the most important thing first is to tell you, our story. Otherwise, most of it won't make any sense. So this is a picture of us when we were younger.
We know the theme is partners in parallel, but we're not lovers. We are brothers.
We get that question often. Yeah.
And so here's our quick family backstory. Our mother is Turkish. Our father's Romanian. They met as immigrants in Germany, which is where we were born. So we grew up in Germany until we were 4 years old and 2 years old, respectively, and then we moved to Romania, and we grew up our entire childhood in Romania.
We went to an international school over there, and then when we graduated, we both moved to California, studied in California, studied film.
Approximately when we were the age of the photo you just saw, we saw a movie called The Blues Brothers. Has anyone seen The Blues Brothers? All right. Blues Brothers is like our favorite movie. At least, certainly our shared favorite movie. It's the reason we got into filmmaking. It's the reason we got into music. It's kind of like the entire MO behind our entire life. If you haven't seen The Blues Brothers, the basic idea is that it's about two brothers who embark on a very ridiculous journey. And it involves blues music and a lot of cool cameos and super fun. There's Ray Charles, and the music is fantastic. So if you haven't seen it, just watch it for the music and the vibes and the car crashes.
I remember when we were really young, I'd have to wait 1 year for it to be back on TV because they would only play once a year. And I was waiting, I want the Blues Brothers to come back until finally, I don't know.
It was usually Christmas time that they'd play it on German television. Yeah. And we'd have to watch it dubbed in German, and then it'd cut into the English songs. We'd be like, oh, it's kind of fun.
But it's why we play music too. I played the drums, Sergio plays guitar. We wanted to start a band when we were younger, and we were fortunate enough for our parents to bear the sounds of the instruments.
But it basically, importantly, brought us into this interesting space where we were doing music, we were doing theater in school, we were doing film, and we were involved in these sort of multidisciplinary art forms. And we learned a lot from the collaborative processes of doing all these different types of art forms. Because obviously when you're doing a school theater production, the sort of creative process there is completely different to if you're with your 4 best friends trying to make rock band music, or if you're trying to make a movie with some of your classmates. All of that is entirely its own creative process, but I think in the theme of parallels, there is a sort of thing you learn from each of those that you can then apply to the other art form.
And so on family vacations, we would hijack the family camcorder and start shooting videos together. And 2 brothers on vacation, one person has to be behind the camera, the other person has to be in front of the camera. So we'd figure out creative ways to make it seem like, there were multiple characters, whatever, just between the two of us. But then once we had a band, then we turned the camera back on the band and we would do music videos, or we even did a YouTube series about, the band and us trying to rehearse. And there are a lot of very embarrassing clips of, me yelling at people because they're not focusing and we're not practicing the songs. But that was a whole thing that we did. So the idea of all kinds of art being meta, being, something that you can sort of cross. You can cross film and music all the time. Was it's part of our DNA. We don't silo any of our creative projects separately from each other.
We eventually moved to Los Angeles to study filmmaking. The reason we ended up picking filmmaking was actually very simple. We realized, well, you don't have to go to university to be like a rock star, but you probably should go to university if you want to study film, become a filmmaker, because there's just so much that goes into the filmmaking process. Truth can tell, is the ultimate person to vouch for that. There's so much that goes into everything from producing to sound designing to finding the right cameraman. That entire process is so intensive that, if we would have not, gone out and met an entire community of filmmakers in LA, I don't think we would be where we are now and have the knowledge we do now about filmmaking. But yeah.
What's interesting, though, is that we went to college to the same university, and we both worked with each other there, but also separately. And so we also realized, what we lost by not working with each other, because we would work with other people and we'd realize we didn't have the same shorthand with one another and the same taste, the same vision. All those things are obviously very conducive to a creative collaboration, but you also need to learn how to communicate with somebody who you don't have that shorthand with. And it's not as if we just work telepathically either. We also have to hash things out between the two of us.
After we graduated from college, we worked together to make a film with our friends. This was sort of like, we just got out of university, all of our friends did as well, and we said, okay guys, let's just pool our resources together and make a movie so we all have some kind of calling card that we can present to people. We're gonna show you the trailer really quickly. It's only 2 minutes long, so you guys can get a general idea of the vibe.
Like, it's just a fucking song. It doesn't mean shit, man. It's just a fucking song. It just exists. There's nothing to interpret because there's no fucking lyrics. It's just how it makes you feel. And if you like studying that shit. So, you're telling me that the day we're gonna reach E, that your music doesn't mean shit? Yo, fuck off. Where's my plan? I don't know why you guys give me something like this, but we finally got a meeting with Richie, dude.
Truth and Lau asked that we put our microphones right up to our lips.
Okay.
So we have more of a radio voice.
Anyway, the pandemic hit in 2020, and it became a bit of a wrench in the gears of everything we were doing in Los Angeles, because obviously the film industry shuts down, and we find ourselves kind of stranded. We don't really know what to do, and then our visas expire, and now we really have to leave America. So we kind of left LA with our tail between our legs, thinking like, oh, it didn't work out. I guess we're not going to be working in film, and we come back to Romania. We ended up working with our mentor, who's a filmmaker in Romania, and spend the next couple of years from 2020 to 2022 writing screenplays with him. In 2021, we wrote a screenplay that in 2022 he then got financing for, he directed, and then ended up playing at the Cannes Film Festival, and we got the invitation to join him for the premiere. So that was super awesome and totally a surprise for us that, throughout our life, we grew up in Romania thinking we have to go to America to make a film. Then we leave America only to come back home to Romania, and that's what takes us to the film festival we've always wanted to go to. So there you go. But we wanted to do more. Specifically, we wanted to eat more because
We were starving artists.
Yeah, we were starving artists, and we realized that this whole screenwriting thing is fun, but it doesn't make you a ton of money. And so we wound up in Portugal we visited Portugal every year from 2020 until 2023. And when we ended up moving here in 2023, I just kind of as a joke started this Instagram page called Immigrant Foodie. And I thought, maybe I'll get a free lunch once in a while. So I started it just kind of, the main reason for creating it really was that I had friends from the US who were thinking of coming here, and they were telling me, oh, where do I go, have lunch or dinner? And I thought, I kind of know my way around the city a little bit at the moment, so maybe I'll start making some videos and send them to my friends. But within a couple of weeks, the videos really started blowing up, and then we started getting a lot of attention and getting comments, people telling me where to go. Then a restaurant started messaging me saying oh, can you come over to our place? We started going there. Then I got my first free lunch, and I was like, oh, this is crazy. I'm actually getting free food. This is ridiculous. And then I think the big turning point was I went to a restaurant, and they told me oh, I used to work at a different restaurant, but they closed for renovations because they saw your video, and they were like, we need to look better. And so they started renovating, and I was like, oh, we're having kind of an impact here. And yeah, then we went to some restaurants, and they told us.
And then they reopened, and
Yes.
they were like, Immigrant Foodie, please come back and review the restaurant.
That's true. Yeah, anyway, and then I think the thing that really took us over the edge was a couple of videos went very viral, and then one or two spots actually ended up messaging me saying hey, we actually had to close early because we ran out of food after your video. So it's been very cool and a total unexpected additional job that kind of grew out of this over the last 2 years. But Immigrant Foodie became its own community of people, and we host all sorts of things now. We help with catering and services. We help bring food vendors to events. Dan is somewhere here who runs, put your hand up, Dan. Where are you? Where are you? He's somewhere here. I was literally talking to him 5 minutes ago. Okay, I don't know. He disappeared.
Sergio has imaginary friends.
Okay. My imaginary friend Dan runs Black Cat Cinema. I help him with the organizing the food vendors, and we host weekly dinners, which you guys are all welcome to. We hosted one yesterday. We host them usually on Wednesdays or Thursdays. They're evening mixers. They're super fun. So if you follow the Instagram, you guys can come and join us. It's a really cool community of people, very much like everyone who's here already. And we all just have dinner together and socialize. It's super, super fun. But yeah. Go ahead.
So as Sergio's busy with Immigrant Foodie, we sent an application in to Creative Europe Media, which is a fund the European Union runs to support young filmmakers. And we won a modest grant to shoot a short film, and took a long process, but we finally shot the movie last December and just finished it the other week. So we're very happy with that, and now it's out with festivals, and we hope to premiere it over there. But other than that project, we have a lot of other projects that we work on. I also work in advertising. I work with companies in Los Angeles still, friends of mine that I knew back then. Work in a creative strategy role. And other than that, I directed a music video a couple months ago for my favorite DJ here in Lisbon called Shuggy. Anyone know Shuggy?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, Shuggy's awesome. So shot her music video. So we still find other projects that we work on. It's not like Immigrant Foodie has taken over our lives. It's just taken over our bellies.
But yeah, and then beyond that, we kind of had a little return to our sort of high school roots. We started a little band again, so we play music every week. Maybe we'll be doing some shows in the summer. Oliver has started a little project on top of that called Heavy Metal Yoga, which I'm sure he'd love to talk about.
Yeah, essentially, we do yoga. It's a YouTube series. So we film a yoga class at Dur de Matar, which is one of our favorite restaurants. And we have a live DJ set. And the DJ sets are a type of transcendental heavy metal experience. Some people think it's counterintuitive, but it actually works really well. I love metal, but I never really want to listen to it at home. And it's actually great music for yoga. I'm not a fan. I often go to yoga classes and I feel like I'm in a therapy session I didn't sign up for. And everyone's talking about how, you deserve love and everything. I'm like, I know! What is this? What's going on? So I wanted to create a yoga class with a different vibe. But we always get a different yoga instructor there. If you're a yoga instructor or you know someone who is, please send them my way. I just want to spotlight different yoga instructors and different DJs. And we're not just going to do heavy metal. But we wanted to, pick interesting combinations.
Black metal,
yeah. No, we'll do anything, techno, whatever. Just unusual combinations between yoga and music that I think open people's eyes to how you can practice yoga too. Besides, if you can balance and keep your focus while listening to heavy metal, then you're gonna leave the yoga class and go into the traffic of the city and feel serene. So that's the goal.
Anyway, so that's our entire story from childhood until now and all the projects we've worked on. So obviously the big question here is like, how do we even work together without hating each other's guts, really? And that's kind of a difficult question to answer because a lot of this is sort of like the innate thing of being brothers and having to live with each other for 18 years until we go off to college and then somehow deciding that we still want to keep working together. But let's figure that out. The one thing I don't want to focus on is like what you see here, which is, I can talk about our blackboard and I can talk about our corkboard and how we break down screenplays and how we do all these very sort of like nuanced things. But the truth is that all of this only happens after we've done the bulk of the work, which actually happens outside of the office. And that's really the collaborative work that I think is the most applicable to talk about with, just people in general, because this is just like normal filmmaker stuff. Everyone kind of does this, whether they're in a writer's room at a professional studio or they're just an independent filmmaker working with their friend who's a producer. So first and foremost, we just spend a lot of time together.
Yeah, I mean, we meet every morning for coffee, almost every morning, and we just talk. We send each other reels all the time, and those reels become long conversations. So we're really trying to spend as much time as possible with each other because it's in that conversation where the most work happens.
We constantly try to make each other laugh. I think humor is such a big element of trying to get each other comfortable. Yeah, I can tell everyone's here like, am I supposed to look at this right now? But pitching is such an important process that goes beyond just like, hey, I have an idea. It involves people watching. Maybe you see something on the street, or maybe you just observe something in your day to day, and you think to yourself, oh, what if we make a movie about X, Y, and Z? Good example is that back in our college days, we would watch movies all the time because we're total cinephiles. And at the time, I remember we watched Terrence Malick's The Thin Red Line. If you guys have seen that movie, phenomenal film. There's an incredibly potent scene in that movie where a character gets a letter from his wife asking for a divorce, and he's like in the middle of the Pacific War. So it's like the worst time to get that letter. And he ends up dying, and sort of the tragedy is that his wife's never gonna know if he read that letter before he died or not. And we thought, at the time we were talking about it, and we said, oh, like imagine if you would make a movie, but it's told now from the wife's perspective, and it's just about everything that led her to writing that letter from, in that movie. And you just tell that story. And that ended up being a movie he made while in college. And it was just one of his like college projects. So that entire process of just like observing stuff, talking about it, and then, taking action on an idea, and like not letting any idea be too stupid to present to another person, I think is really important. Because people get, I think, insecure when they're talking to other people, like, oh, maybe I'm gonna say something they're not gonna like to hear, or maybe they're gonna be upset about it, or gonna be offended. You kind of want like a filter-free conversation with whoever your creative partner is, and I think that's a big thing we benefit from, in part because, we have exactly the same taste, so I'm never really worried about like saying something where it's gonna go, I don't wanna talk to you anymore.
Another example is I do a lot of photography. And I noticed that my favorite photos that I've taken are photos where I saw something and I was like, oh, that's funny. And I snapped a photo because I look back on it and it still makes me laugh. And so what I'm pointing at is that your sense of humor, because we all have a sense of humor, maybe if you're German, it's a little more dry, but we all have a sense of humor, and that sense of humor is your voice. Whatever makes you laugh, it can be something strange and weird that not many other people will laugh about, but that it makes you laugh, that's your voice. So if you just find things that you think are funny, like when I thought to myself, heavy metal yoga, oh, that's a funny paradox, right? It makes me laugh, that's my voice. Find the things that make you laugh and use them. Those are valuable. That's how you can identify your voice. It's, your laughter.
This here is Andy Arish. He was actually our film history teacher in university, and one of our closest mentors during our time in college. And this concept of persuade each other was something that really came to fruition while we were, studying under him, where he was a very hard-nosed, like, old guard film historian. So whenever we had conversations with him about any kind of movie, especially new ones, we really had to convince him that it was worth his time. And we realized that kind of applied to everything we did, where whenever we worked on a project, if I had an idea and presented it to Oliver, Oliver wasn't just like, oh, this is a great idea, let's go for it right away. It really became a process of, we have to convince.
I would turn into Arish.
Yeah.
I would be like, no, Sergio, no, you're wrong about this, because in 1962...
And, basically force me back to the drawing board to come back with a better idea. And the same happened vice versa, right? If Oliver has an idea, I try and be the hardest critic he could possibly face so that he has to go back to the drawing board and come back with an improved version of the idea. Because the reality is that usually when we have new creative ideas, the very, very first version of that idea is probably not that great. But like there might be a kernel of something there worth exploring. And so that's what we try to force each other to find. It's like, okay, well, pretty much everything you're saying here, 90% of it isn't really working for me, but this little thing is. So go back to the drawing board, try that again, and then come back, and then try and persuade me a second time. And I think that's what a lot of our conversations are.
When you do that, you naturally fall into a creator-editor sort of dynamic, where one person is the creator of a project and one person serves as the editor. And this is true with everything that we've done. It's okay that, it's not both of your idea. It always is someone's idea. It's not like we both looked at each other and, we were like,
heavy metal yoga.
Yeah. As we just demonstrated. So it's always someone's idea, and if it's not your idea, serve as the editor. Be there to, cut the fat and make sure that whatever kernel of whatever gem there is hidden in there gets the light of day and shines. Because most people with most ideas have a lot of fat on them, and they need to be trimmed. And so that's something that we always try to focus on, is be each other's editor.
Use me is this term that we started using because we realized that there are certain strengths and weaknesses that we both have, and we just have to embrace those differences, right? So in the case of screenwriting, if I have a general outline for a story, I love to bring a page of scene work and present it to Oliver, knowing that he's going to take that dialogue and make it so much more interesting and make the character dynamics so much more complex than anything that I would have done completely on my own. Because I know that he has an innate skill for understanding, I can take these character archetypes that you've developed and figure out how to make them more than just stereotypes and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I guess, what we're saying might sound a little unwelcoming. It's like, pitch every idea you have, and then the other person should rip it apart as much as possible. That doesn't sound like something, any of us want to put ourselves in front of and deal with, because you're just going to deal with a lot of criticism. But the idea is, look at the other person as someone you can use. I've got this idea. I know it's not perfect, but Sergio, you're much better at structuring a story than I am. Please, do this, because you're much better at this than I am. And that's the idea, is that be comfortable to ask for help. People get very shy about that.
We switch roles a lot. And the process of switching roles is as simple as, sometimes we work on a project. In the case of Pop Verve was a movie that Oliver started directing right when I was in the middle of starting grad school. So I was in the middle of classes a lot of the time when they were shooting some of the scenes. But this actually ended up being, initially, obviously, I was a little disappointed because I was like, I can't be on set for this really exciting movie that we're doing with all of our friends. Ended up being great because there were a couple, key scenes that we filmed that I wasn't present for. So when I ended up looking at them on the computer, I had a very sort of removed view on them, and I ended up becoming the de facto editor of the movie. And that became super useful for both of us because suddenly I realized I can direct I can redirect this, because the whole process, if you don't know, filmmaking, they always say you write one movie, you direct one, and then you edit another. So then when we were editing the film, I realized, I can just start making cuts and throwing out some of his darlings, much to his frustration initially. But that's how we brought down what was initially a 2.5-hour movie into a very lean, tight 90-minute film. So yeah.
Yeah, and as as an example of how we then switch roles is just by chance of me having a new laptop back in December, I was the one who ended up editing the short film that we just shot. Sergio is by far the superior editor between the two of us. But because I had the new laptop, I was kind of put in charge of editing the short film we just shot. And Sergio's, humility in saying all right, fine, you go edit this, was a really smart thing, because now I kind of need to catch up to him and try and become as good of an editor as he is. That's a really healthy thing for a creative dynamic. Pass the baton, let someone else try their hand at the role, because it just means that you get to switch too. You get to do something else.
I think people get oftentimes caught up in this sort of corporate or even startup-y mindset of this is my role, I'm the CMO or I'm the CFO or whatever, and I do whatever that position is. But in our case, we just accept we can all wear multiple hats, and we can trade off positions. Just because I have been the better editor in the past doesn't mean he can't edit something in the future. But there are also things that we acknowledge we're better at. In case of being on set, I almost always defer to Oliver in terms of the camera and lens choices. I always defer to Oliver in terms of color grading and color science when it comes to actually color grading the movie, because there's just certain things that I'm acutely aware of that he can do better.
And Sergio talks to the actors because he's a far better communicator than I am.
Good.
Also very important is just, when you're doing this, divide and conquer. We have so many projects that are happening simultaneously, and one of the most important things is just to not fall asleep at the wheel. If one person's editing the movie, all right, the other person should go and write something or, you know, go eat lunch and film it. Just do something else with your time if you don't have anything on your plate right now.
I think something people assume incorrectly when they think of us as like a filmmaking duo or a creative duo in general is that we are like hawking over one laptop, writing a screenplay at the same time. We're never doing the same thing at the same time ever. Like if he currently he's writing a screenplay, which I provided the story outline for. So I wrote the outline, I provide him with the outline, and then he goes and starts writing it. And while he's writing it, I'm editing Immigrant Foodie videos. And then when I finish my Immigrant Foodie videos, he sends me the outline to read. I start looking over the outline. He starts working on a heavy metal yoga edit. And so we kind of have like a giant flywheel of things we're constantly doing and just alternating on, because there's just no point in ever both working on the same thing at the same time, because then you just have a too many cooks situation. But yeah, that's basically our creative process. If you have questions, please throw them at us now or later. We'll be here.
Please.
So over here and then over there.
You had a question?
It was a question about the use of the term immigrant and immigrant foodie. Was that, because I know there's like this whole discourse about like the word expat versus immigrant.
Uh-huh.
And I wonder, was that like to conscious choice?
So the reason I picked that handle was actually is super, like, it's a little more silly than you'd think. I was taking a film studies class in university back in 2014, and every student had to create like a blog where they started writing about movies. And I was just the only foreign kid in the class. Everyone else was an American, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna create a page called Immigrant Film. And I created Immigrant Film, and I started writing blog posts about exclusively foreign films, because that's just the thing I was always obsessed with. I was like the only kid in my class who was always talking about not like a Marvel movie, and I was always talking about whatever was currently like playing at Cannes or nominated for Best Foreign Film or whatever. And so all my write-ups were about Korean cinema, Iranian cinema, Romanian cinema, Swedish cinema, yada, 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 and it goes on. And so I just became obsessed with that concept. And then I created a Letterboxd profile. If you don't know what Letterboxd is, it's basically like Goodreads, but for movies. And so my Immigrant Foodie profile on Letterboxd kind of became like a thing that I've cultivated. Sorry, Immigrant Film page. Immigrant Film on Letterboxd. I had it going since 2015 now, so I've like had 10 years worth of just nonstop film reviews that I've written there. And I just love, love, love writing about movies. That's kind of like my original review obsession. And then when I created Immigrant Foodie, it just was like, oh, well, I'll write Immigrant Film. That's kind of what I'm known, like semi-known for on the internet as one thing, and I might as well create this other page. Ironically, within like 2 months, I had more followers on Immigrant Foodie than I ever had on Immigrant Film. I think I still only have 1,000 followers on Immigrant Film, but it just goes to show that people don't read.
Yes, please.
Two-part. How are you able to monetize Immigrant Foodie, and then with so many projects going, how do you create like that?
So we have a couple of different revenue streams for Immigrant Foodie. One of them is that we sell a Google Maps guide. It's €2 a month to have access to. It obviously makes it really helpful for us when people subscribe to it, because it makes it easy for us to then navigate, just be able to go and discover more restaurants. The benefit, of course, is the Google Maps guide also gives you guys access to all of our favorite places in the city, tells you what's nearby. We're currently working on a really, really cool update that I can't wait to share with everybody. It's like a full-blown major website update that is going to look really, really cool. But the current version's very usable and people enjoy it. And I meet people on the street who always tell me that they're subscribed to the map, and that's one of our revenue streams. Another revenue stream is that we host these weekly dinners. The weekly dinners are really fun mixers where just people show up, and then I keep a percentage of the revenue that I managed to bring to the restaurant that night, which is just like a nice opportunity to support small businesses. We always do it on Thursdays because those are usually, or Wednesdays, because those are days that are close enough to the weekend that people show up, but it's also days that are usually slow days for restaurants. They're usually not able to fill up on those kind of days. And then we do things like bringing food vendors to events like Black Cat Cinema, which is another revenue stream. So yeah, we do all sorts of different types of partnerships with restaurants. It's a whole process.
And sometimes there'll just be a fancy new restaurant that's like, hey, we want you to come and eat for free. And we're like, haha, not so easy. Yeah.
So that's it's definitely a big process to like manage all of these things, but I've kind of gotten into a logical flow state where I'm like, okay, every Monday I need to know where we're going to be hosting our dinner on Thursday, and so on and so forth. And then the Google Maps guide is kind of like this self-fulfilling thing at this point, where pretty much every time I post a new video, we get generally one new subscriber to the Maps guide. And so my goal is just to get it to having enough subscribers so that there is this income coming through the map that we supply to people.
And then the other thing is, as I mentioned earlier, we do have other jobs. So I do still, work for companies out in LA, and the truth is that I make a lot of money with American clients, which means that we do have the time then to focus on other projects like heavy metal yoga, which at the moment isn't lucrative at all.
Oh, true. And actually, speaking of, I totally forgot to mention that, American clients, we also do a concierge service, which we offer to tourists and foreigners who come to Lisbon and just are looking for somebody to create like a giant, like bespoke dinner experience for their entire stay here. So sometimes I'll have like a honeymoon couple. They're like, hey, we just got married. We're coming to Portugal for 5 days. We want to just go to the best of the best restaurants. Can you get us all the reservations? And so I handle everything for them so they just have a hassle-free vacation. And so I charge for that. Sometimes it's giant groups. I'm currently organizing like a 60th birthday for a group of Americans, 9 people. They're coming from Pennsylvania and they want to have like a nice series of dining experiences before they get on their cruise ship and keep going on.
And you're organizing a group of 26 Danes.
Yeah, from Copenhagen, and they're like, oh, we work at all the top Michelin star restaurants, so we want like the best. And so like, this is like, those kind of clients are obviously like really good paychecks. They're I would say they're few and far between in general for now. If we can get it to a point where it's more regular, that would obviously be great. But yeah, work-life balance. Hard question to answer. The benefit is that it's just super fun to go out to restaurants and eat and meet business owners. I mean, I can't complain when I'm like getting, exactly. When my job is like going to meet business owners and meeting chefs and talking to them about what they do and, that passion, that doesn't really feel like work. And I mean, at the end of the day, we film these videos with like an iPhone. It's not like I'm out there bringing a bunch of like heavy equipment or anything. We're not, the work is almost like super, super organic and fun. So that would be my best way of answering that question.
Are you on some kind of drugs? Because this is so amazing. Honestly, I don't know which drugs you are.
Well,
this is so good. How do you guys do all these things?
That's hilarious. I'm actually 13 years sober. So I do have epilepsy, which is why I'm sober, and so I take my epilepsy medication. Maybe there's something in there worth investigating.
I'll look into it.
Yeah.
Congratulations. You're amazing. You're amazing. Inspiration.
So, guys, what is the expanded vision for this parallel partnership that you're guys doing? So you have a lot of projects. So what it is that you'll see like, fuck, that's it, or something?
Okay. So the question was, what's our long-term vision here with our creative partnership? We got into this because we wanted to make movies. We want to make big movies. We do aim for things like the Palme d'Or or an Oscar. That has always been our vision. But as the industry is changing, as things like social media become much more, real and lucrative channels for creative expression that actually gets a bigger audience, it's becoming a little bit harder to define what our vision is. I don't know if you have, if there's something that you are focusing on these days, but I think for us, we just want to create endlessly. We just want to express ourselves. we have so many ideas that we aren't realizing, but we want to. And it'll be all kinds of stuff. We'll even be like, oh, we should create a breakfast restaurant in Lisbon called American Diner, where you can just get 2 eggs, hash browns, bacon, and toast. Like that's all I want, and like great hamburger and just dirty coffee. That's all. I just want black water, but I don't think we're gonna create a brick and mortar store anytime soon. But the idea is, if we could create some kind of creative agency through which we can create anything we want. I actually pitched a name for it a few months ago to Sergio. I said we should call it Totally Creative, because it sounds so Californian. And it's just about, totally everything and anything that we want to do creatively. This should be our vessel through which we do it.
Yeah, I think we just love storytelling at the end of the day. That's the thing we're obsessed with, and I mean, I always think about the entire experience of studying filmmaking, making music, that entire process. It'll always come back to the fact that we just love family. We love our family. We love being with our family. We love being together. And I look forward to being a storyteller for my children, and continuing that on, because I think at the end of the day, even though it's really fun and cool to think of like the glamorous side of filmmaking, and I love doing that, and we loved going to Cannes and getting dressed in our tuxedos and doing that whole thing. The thing I look forward to is telling stories and sharing stories with my kids and doing all that too. Like that's just as exciting. So I think it's all encompassed within that entire framework of storytelling, whether that's making Instagram videos or making big movies. Yeah.
How do you manage to get all these ideas? How do you not get overwhelmed by having
I think there's a lot of patience that needs to set in. I have always been very impatient. Between the two of us, I'm by far the more impatient one, and Sergio always does a very good job of telling me to take it easy and to give something its time and wait for responses and things like that. So that's kind of also part of the idea of divide and conquer, and that slide, that sometimes a project needs to be on hold for a month. And so just find something else to do and know that, it will progress in the future. But it's a very difficult thing to do, is to put things away and come back to them. But I would say only in the last 5 months, really, have I felt like I've finally gotten to the point that when something stops, I can just pick something else up. Before that, there was a lot of me, being like, come on, what? Still no email, still no response about this or that. So
ideas are a complicated thing, because when you have an idea, you initially are very used to the idea of every idea is precious and I have to hold, I gotta pursue this. But what you learn eventually, and I think I learned this for sure with a short film, for example, because we just shot it in December, but I wrote the movie 2 years ago, right? And I think over that course of 2 years, I had at least 4, 5, 6 different short film ideas that I was curious about filming. And it's kind of a weird thing to have, to get money from the European Union for a movie, but then you realize you need more money, and so you start asking different investors to triple your budget. And in that entire process, you already have ideas for different movies, and you're like, well, I'm raising money for an idea that's now a year old, and I've had all these other ideas, should I maybe put my money into those, or should I just divide the money and make multiple projects? But you need to just be patient and just accept that whatever the other ideas are, if they're worth pursuing, they're gonna get made later. But you need to just commit also to certain projects. So if you get money from the European Union, make that movie. Yeah. I think someone had their hand. Yeah, you're there.
Hi, Valentina from Timisoara, actually.
Hey! Bună ziua!
So I find it impressive how you guys decided to share your life to this extent. I also have siblings and I see them once or twice a year. What's the secret? How do you guys manage to, be together and share everything without
killing each other.
Yeah, we had a lot of friends who were siblings who hated each other, and they would constantly fight. And I actually credit the success of our friendship to my brother and our parents, because he's the older brother, and usually it's older brothers who don't want to spend time with their younger brothers.
But I didn't have friends.
Yeah, but I think our parents were very smart and loving and good at, telling Sergio to give me a chance. That we developed this dynamic.
Yeah, I think but it's also the fact that it's just we're very lucky that we have exactly the same interests, right? I mean, one of us could have wanted to be a doctor, and the other would have wanted to be a filmmaker, and then one of us would have had money. But yeah, no, I think it worked out this way, that we both wanted to be artists, and we both grew up, loving music, and I think that this is why the Blues Brothers was this thing we mentioned at the beginning. It's like we both, this film grabbed us at such a young age, and we were like, okay, I'm gonna learn the drums, and I'm gonna learn the guitar, and we're gonna, make a little band, and then we got our friends together and we started playing. And so we immediately got into this process of we just gotta, if I don't have a drummer, we don't have a band, and if he doesn't have a guitarist, he doesn't have a band. So it's not like we can't. We kind of have to work together.
Yeah, there must have been something at a young age where we both realized that if we're both going to be guitarists, then there's no point in that we should always try to complement each other. I actually remember being at our cousin's house, playing on his PlayStation, and there was a game, do you remember it? And there were, you could pick your character, and I wanted to pick the stout character with a shotgun, and you were like, oh, I'm gonna get the guy with a machine gun. And there was just something there where it was like, oh yeah, we should both pick different characters so that we can, beat the level more successfully, because if we both pick the same class of character, then we're not going to get anywhere. So I guess, play a lot of PlayStation, guys.
Yeah. Thanks.
There's an interesting point about whole creative process, but also how much of the entire workflow is actually a creative process, and how much is actually boring, repetitive things.
That's actually a great question. Yeah, how much of the creative process is just boring, repetitive stuff? I would say 80% of our day is just kind of like standing around like this and just sort of thinking, maybe having a Prego, putting mustard on it and going, oh, well, it would be kind of interesting if we would do this. And then the other 20% is actually sitting down at a table and writing something down. I mean, so much of our day is just, banter. And I think banter is, I think there are incredibly creative artists who have existed throughout the history of film and music and whatever, who have probably the exact same kind of conversations that we have, but they just have it by themselves. I'm sure David Lynch was just having cigarettes at a, bakery in the morning, and he's just, his brain is firing off in a million directions at 100 miles an hour, and he's probably thinking of movie ideas that I couldn't even dream up with him. But the fact that we have each other as a bouncing board certainly helps in getting us a little bit closer to getting to an idea. But yeah.
I think, just real quick.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, okay, no problem.
Finish this question.
Yeah. Just really quick about the creative process.
For sure.
Of course. I would say, even though a lot of the work is what Sergio's describing, once you do set into something like Immigrant Foodie, I actually don't think there's a lot of thinking and, creativing with Immigrant Foodie. At this point, it's sort of a machine. And as soon as we're done with lunch, Sergio goes home and he's like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna go edit, and that's just what he does. And that's what he spends most of his day doing, is being on Instagram, messaging people, and editing the videos.
Yeah.
So once you have something, that's when it turns into a machine. Until then, it is a lot of just, creativing. All right, let's wrap it up. Thank you so much. We'll come talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Great
Thank
presentation.
you. Welcome.
Yes,
very good.
You guys want this?
Yes. Thank you
Sergio
very
and
much.
Oliver.
Of course.
Zaciu.
Thank you.
Immigrant foodie. So we're at the end of the program. We just wanted to. I have to switch it over to click, but we do want to thank our guests. I'll go do that now. Do you want to organize the group?
Oh yeah, what we want to
photo?
do before you leave, I'm going to ask our photographer Carol to make a little crowd picture. I had it in my mind, maybe it's crazy. But just have everyone on the picture, so also Owen and Suero, everyone come a little bit more here. I'm going to put Carol on a chair. So just a fun, crowd picture if everyone could just, I'm going to stand
Get everybody.
there. Yes. Owen.